It began on a warm Saturday evening, the kind of dusky, golden night when the air feels too still, too perfect to be innocent. My friend Jake had invited me over for a backyard barbecue. We were both back from college, trying to soak in a little summer before the chaos of classes started again. I expected burgers, beers, and familiar faces. I didn't expect her. From the moment I stepped through the gate, Claire, Jake's mother, was a quiet force pulling all attention. She wasn't loud. She didn't need to be. She moved through that backyard like the evening had been waiting for her. Tall, effortlessly poised, she carried herself with the grace of someone who had long since stopped chasing approval and now simply collected it by existing. That night, she wore a silky red dress that fit too perfectly, hugging her figure like a secret. It wasn't scandalous, not technically, but it was intentional, unmistakably so. Jake didn't notice. He was manning the grill, cracking jokes with cousins, tossing beers to old high school friends. But the rest of us noticed. And more importantly, Claire noticed me noticing. She brought me a drink, her fingers brushing mine with the softest pressure, just enough to blur the line between accidental and designed. Her smile lingered a heartbeat too long. "You've grown up a lot," she said, her eyes sweeping over me like I was something rare. Thanks, Mrs. Connor," I stammered, trying to keep my eyes from slipping downward. "Claire," she corrected, brushing her hair behind one ear, her gaze not letting go. "Call me Claire." I gave a nervous laugh, clutching the drink tighter than necessary. I tried to focus on the food, the idle conversation, the scent of grilling meat, the cicadas. But Claire moved the crowd like a flame through dry grass, graceful, deliberate, aware of every glance that trailed her. The way the dress shimmered under the setting sun felt almost unfair. She leaned just a little lower, handing out plates, laughed just a little louder when I was nearby. Later, when most people had drifted off and Jake disappeared inside to grab more drinks, she found her way beside me on the patio chairs. "You know," she began, her voice lower now, meant only for me, "you remind me a lot of your father. Strong, quiet, a little too polite, maybe." I swallowed hard, unsure where this was going. He always taught me to respect women. "M." She swirled the wine in her glass, watching it catch the fading light. "That's nice. But sometimes women want more than respect." My heart stuttered. This couldn't be happening. She was my best friend's mom. But nothing about her that night was maternal. Her legs crossed slowly, deliberately, the red fabric shifting just enough to pull the eye. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice cracking slightly as I tried to ground myself. "I'm better than okay," she said with a soft, amused smile. It's been a long time since I've had a house full of young energy. I knew I needed to get up, find Jake, break the tension. But before I could move, her hand landed gently on my knee. Not firm, not forceful, just placed, just undeniable. She leaned in a little closer. Her perfume wrapped around me, floral with a whisper of vanilla, and something that made the whole world tilt. "You ever think about the difference between what people want and what they say they want?" she murmured. I stared into my drink. "Sometimes those things aren't the same," I said, not even recognizing the sound of my own voice. She smiled, pleased. "Exactly." The backyard dimmed, twinkle lights glowing like stars on strings. Her skin seemed to glow in that light, as if the entire night had been scripted around her. And that dress, it no longer looked like something worn to a barbecue. It looked like temptation tailored in red. "Claire," I said, trying to steady my breath, "I don't think this is a good idea." She tilted her head, eyes playful. "What idea?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The electricity between us had been building since the moment I walked in. That dress wasn't coincidence. It was a signal. Just then, Jake came back out laughing, holding beers, talking about a meme on his phone. Claire stood immediately, flawless in her composure, like she hadn't just been whispering sweet chaos into my ear. I joined Jake at the grill, did my best to act normal, but my heart was still pounding. Across the patio, Claire caught my eye. She gave me a slow, secretive smile, like she knew everything I was trying not to feel. As the night faded and guests trickled out, Jake turned to me and asked if I wanted to crash in the guest room. I hesitated. Claire was watching. Sure, I said, forcing a casual shrug. Why not? Jake headed to bed early, exhausted from heat and beer. I lay on the guest room bed staring at the ceiling fan, its blades lazily cutting the silence. The house was too quiet, eerily so. Then came the soft sound of bare feet on wood. Slow, deliberate, they stopped outside my door. A gentle knock. Can I come in? It was Claire's voice, barely a whisper. I hesitated. What for? I just wanted to talk. Nothing more. I cracked the door open. She stood barefoot, wine glass in hand, that red dress now slipping slightly off one shoulder. She didn't wait for permission. She stepped in and sat lightly at the edge of the bed. We talked. At first, it was innocent enough. She told me about her life, about how quiet the house had felt since Jake left for college, how invisible she felt around men her own age. But you saw me, she said softly, running her finger along the rim of her glass. I was exhausted, but not naive. She hadn't worn that dress for Jake's cousins. She wore it for me, and she hadn't chosen that chair on the patio at random. I stood, walked to the window, trying to breathe. The night air pressed against the glass like a warning. You should go, I said quietly. She looked at me, that same unreadable expression she'd worn all night. Then she nodded. All right, she whispered. Good night. She left without another word. I sat on the bed for what felt like hours, staring into the darkness. The next morning, she was back to being the perfect hostess, making pancakes, chatted with Jake like nothing had happened, not a flicker of tension in her smile. But when I went to leave, she walked me to the car, leaned in, and whispered, You're stronger than most. I didn't look back, but as I pulled away, I caught her in the rearview mirror, still in that red dress, watching me, the fabric catching the morning breeze like a flame that refused to die out. And I knew, absolutely knew, she had worn it with a purpose.